Welcome to the Live Loving live stream with John Davis. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the Live Loving live stream. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you guys today, and I am really looking forward to talking with you guys. I'm dealing with some sound things on a new setup I have here, but it's going well. I hope you guys are all staying warm. And hi, Corey. Corey is here. Hey, Corey's here too. Hi. I love you. I've always loved you. I will always love you. I'm with you. I've always been with you. I always will be with you. This was said to me in 1999 through a gifted channel who was channeling Jeshua for me. But it's a message really for all of us. It's a message really for all of us to understand that, Jeshua is part of the oneness of God. And to speak through someone else, he's speaking from the oneness of God, through the higher self-consciousness, through the Holy Spirit self, through the God consciousness. And each one of us is part of the oneness. Jeshua understood that he himself was part of the oneness of God. And he understood that we were as well, but we were blinded to the fact that we were. That he understood our personal divinity and our personal connection with Source. He also understood that, as the Gnostic text of Thomas says, God is within and without. He's within you, and the outer expression that you see around you is the manifestation of your belief in combination with God. And so in the process of going through your life and experiencing this lifetime, this experience of the world, you're experiencing the oneness of God and the collective belief of everyone. And your part of the world can be beautiful and great, and you're driving through life and you see a house, and that house was somebody's belief. That house was someone's belief that they're going to build a house. And that house is there, and it's in their belief that it's been created in your experience. And because you're one with that person, you're experiencing the belief of that house and that expression of their belief and their creation and their thoughts, words, and deeds into the oneness. In Hinduism, they talk about God being the Sit, and we're the Sit Sat Ki, the individual sparks of consciousness within the one God. And when that gifted psychic a long time ago said, I love you, I've always loved you, I will always love you, I'm with you, I've always been with you, and I always will be with you, she was speaking from the oneness of God. She was speaking from the place of telling us that we're divine, telling us that we're always loved, and that we always have been loved, and we always will be loved, and that you're never alone. He's always with you, and always was with you, and always will be with you, because you're not separate. You're not alone in the world. And most of us feel so separate and alone. Most of us feel so afraid. But that's part of the reason we're here, is to feel that separation, to understand that love. But it is also the part of our space to be here, to overcome those fears and come back to our divinity and our self. The Buddha said the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. And so we release our fears. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, because thou art with me. I've always been with you. I always will be with you. So it's that oneness of God that is always there with you at any given time, and as an equal part. It's not a God that's greater than. It's an equal part. You're part of something greater, and it's part of you. And the experience of your life is absolutely that oneness, that expression of our own consciousness. And Chitra, your question here says, what is the Christ consciousness? Well, basically, I would take the word Christ out of it, and I would just say your divine consciousness, your higher self or holy self consciousness. The word Christ means anointed one. It's a Greek word that stands in for the word Messiah or Savior. And the concept of a Christ consciousness is actually very much a New Age concept. But I would say, if the word Christ means anointed one. So I would say, if you're going to anoint anyone, anoint yourself. Step into your Christed self. Step into your place that Jeshua wanted you to step, and Krishna wanted you to step, and Muhammad wanted you to step, and Baha'u'llah wanted you to step, and they're all telling you these amazing experiences, and the power that you have. So the Christ consciousness really is stepping into our own personal divinity. And how do we recognize our divinity? We recognize it by going, when I say I'm tired, I yawn. When I say I'm hungry, my stomach growls. When I say I can't find something, I can't find it, right? When I say I struggle in life, I struggle in life. We all know people who grew up looking like they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Well, that's because they believe that they always have money. They believe that things just work out for them. And it's a matter of us all shifting into that space of that oneness with God, that equality with God. And that's a tough thing for people to deal with, the equality with God. I've said in other videos and even in private sessions, we're the inspiration. God is the paintbrush on the canvas. But in reality, the outcome is the beautiful painting at the end, the beautiful image at the end, is God and us as one. It's the expression of the two of us together. And that two of us together creates this beautiful experience, or negative experience, depending on what we put our faith in. So I'm talking a lot this morning, this beginning of this, because I've been pondering this a lot lately because of some personal experiences I've been having when I shift into meditation or into sleep even. I've been having a very different experience lately, and it's been a beautiful experience. I often talk about when I go to sleep, how I close my eyes and I'm very aware of the room, and then I'm very aware of how the bed and how comfortable I am, and then I'm very aware of being inside my body, looking at the back of my eyelids, but not being of my body. And there's a experience that happens next where I start to see colors in motion. But when I try to focus on those colors, they split. Where I look, they split. Where I look, they split. And the other day, in my process of going to sleep, and then again in my sitting in love, I had the thought that those eyelids, they're not there either. Right? And in the Matrix, they say there is no spoon. By releasing everything, including my physical body, I was able to focus on those colors and go into those colors, and had a whole different level of experience that it's hard to describe, and I'm still processing it, so I really can't describe it. But and someday I will, I'm sure, but I'm going to have to explore it for a little while. But it was an awareness of the oneness on a greater level, and I hope I'm making sense to you guys, and because I love coming here and talking about not only your experiences but my experiences, because I think that we all have the ability. And now that I've told you all these things about seeing colors in my head, let me also say I have never done drugs in my life, and I don't drink, so it's not an altered state of mind at all. Anyway, what questions do you guys have? What topics do you want to talk about? I've talked a little too much already, so let me know your thoughts. Let me jump down here and see what this next. How is it different from the highest state of consciousness we can attain to? That's a great response, a great answer to that question. Because the highest state of consciousness that we can attain to, what's that? Is there a belief that there's a highest state that you can attain? Or is there a belief that you can go further? This whole experience I'm having with realizing there are no eyelids took me to another level that I've never been, or another state that I've never been. I'm not a big guy into hierarchies or levels like that. I think that it's more along the lines of awareness and acknowledgement. So, for me, it literally is. I think there are no limits. It's the limits really are in the beliefs we can put down. Joshua said, "You must be as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven." Well, children have no beliefs. When they get here, they're just breathing air. That's all they are, right? Their joy, their love, their expression, and then we're given beliefs. They're given beliefs, and those beliefs are how they go through their life starting up. He says, become as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. It means set down all your beliefs. When my mother, when she actually got older, she got more open to different spiritual thoughts. She was willing to set things down and look past them and see a greater picture, because her whole life had been Catholicism, and she almost became a nun at some point, and before she had 7 kids. But as she got older, as she got closer to her death, she opened to more possibilities, and she realized maybe Catholicism wasn't the only way. And to me, that was a beautiful lesson that she had come to understand, and because she had started to set things down. And so I hope that answers your question, Chitra. And I hope I'm saying your name right. I like the name a lot. I hate to say people's names wrong. Thoughts about doing an open up and ask about unity during the live stream. What would you like to know about unity, Brittany? Any idea why I see faces when my eyes are closed? Sometimes they're scary looking. I'd rather see colors. As I said earlier, we are God. God is the sit, and we are the sit sat key, the individual sparks of consciousness within. You probably are very open, and probably a pretty clear medium. And the scariness is the uncertainty. You don't know what this is, and they look scary, right? They look scary. But if you go in there with the concept of, I am completely safe. I'm loved. I've always been loved. I always will be loved. I'm safe. I've always been safe. I've always will be safe. And you just go, okay, well, you can't harm me. You are in control of what happens to you. And you can absolutely say, I am living a joyful life without any fears or anxieties, and setting that fear down. Just like the Buddha said, the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. And so it comes down to, if I were in your case and I was seeing faces like that, I would literally sit down and I would go, what do you want to tell me? And set your fear down. Exhale. Sit in that love. Ask what do you want to tell me? Sit in that love, right? Or take a piece of paper out. What do you want to add? What do you want to tell me? And just start writing down whatever pops in your head. And I think you're going to find that there's beautiful things and beautiful messages. You might even have messages for someone like me or somebody on this live stream right now. You might be able to come back here and say, hey, your Aunt Tilly says, stop burning her apple pie recipe. Who knows what you're going to say. Or it could be something even more profound than apple pie, although I'm very much into my profound apple pie. Oh, yeah. That's I'm glad you said that, Becky, about the NDE. When you have a near-death experience, first of all, it is a near-death, not a death experience. It's a near-death experience. When you have a near-death experience, you come back with your veil thinner. You come back with more awareness because you have had this experience of leaving the body. You've had this experience of going beyond the veil to some measure. And when you come back to this place, your veil is seriously more open than it was when you went over. So I would be, if this is how I would look at it, I am so grateful that I am now able to connect with the higher sources and with my greater self and with God easier. So, hello, Kathy. Is it Persons or Pearsons? I like Kathy Persons. I just like the idea of persons. Let me jump back up before I get... True nature. How we transcend the body and are all one. I'll have to think about that. Brittany, I wasn't really prepared to do that tonight, but I'll have to think about that. I think I've actually done videos on that exact thing. I think I may have even done... I haven't done one on that exact question, though. Actually, see if I can copy that real quick here. So in case I don't get to it tonight, I'm going to go ahead and put it on my video list. So let me just jump over here and do that. Okay. I have a heck of a video list. Because I add to it as well as you guys add to it. And so it's getting interesting. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I am back. Say, Corey, when I was 2 or 3 years old, persons, I love that. When I was 2 or 3 years old, I had an imaginary friend, but I know she was real. How can we get back to that childlike wonder? I'm sorry, Corey, I don't mean to laugh. When I was 2 or 3 years old, up to about 6 or 7, about six, I had an imaginary friend named Jimmy Garden. And I have often wondered whether it was Jeshua or not. I've also had the experience of seeing others walk up and talk to me that no one else saw. So I had imaginary friends, and that childlike wonder is exactly the question to ask. However, yeah, and I think you know what I'm about to say, Corey. The how is the belief that you aren't having an experience. The word how means I don't have the experience. How do I get there? It means you don't believe it. You don't believe it's going to happen. It really comes down to I am seeing my imaginary friend again. I wouldn't even call it imaginary. I am seeing my friend again, who others called imaginary. Right? I would release the imaginary part of it altogether, and I would just say, I am receiving this. I am seeing my friend again. And the more you can continually give yourself that belief, and say, no, we catch yourself in doubt about it. No, I am receiving. And it may start out as a dream. It may start out as something else. But it may start out as a very visceral memory. But then you'll suddenly discover that your visceral memory has a different conversation. And so you might experience it differently. But you'll definitely experience it if you can believe it. I hope that answers your question. It always does come back to that belief. It always comes back to, what do you believe about your present moment? And that's the one thing I was talking about at the very beginning of this thing. You're one with God, and God is showing you your belief about your present moment. And if you can pay attention to what you're believing, because most of your beliefs that you're dealing with are subconscious, and the way you find what you're believing in the subconscious mind is to actually start listening to what you're saying, because your subconscious mind drops out of your mouth all day long, drops out of all of our mouths all day long. Wanting, needing, hoping, trying, wishing, can't, how. All of those are the belief that it's not happening right now in the I am moment. God's name is I am. Not I will be or not I was. Not if I can figure out how, right? In fact, whatever you ask in God's name is granted if you have faith and you can figure out how. It doesn't say that. Sorry. Your thoughts are creative. What you think you become, you create your world. So if you think you don't have it, right, and you're asking how, it's because you think you don't have it. You know, I was explaining recently about the fact that we don't travel linearly through time. Time travels through us. Time travels through us. The past is just a collection of present moment memories, which has the subconscious belief that makes us say wanting, needing, hoping, trying, and how. The future is just a place where we set goals, but those goals come into focus as they come to your present moment and you experience them. But what brings them into focus? Your belief in what it is. The more you believe in what's coming, the more it comes in, the more you experience it. And people think, oh, I have to really focus. I have to. No, you have to just go, no, I believe it. And because I said last week, I believe I was talking about struggle equaling growth. I said somewhere I was saying that. I'm talking at a lot of places right now. When I was talking about struggle equaling growth. And we can put our faith in struggle all day long. I've told you manifestation story after manifestation story on this live stream and on my channel. The reason I manifest easily is because I just believe. The other day, my water heater blew out. So I had to put up $700 to have the water heater replaced. And I literally, this was just the other day, I put out the $700. I said, thank you, God, for the $700 I am receiving to cover this bill. I went to bed. I woke up the next morning, and I had 4 bookings that, due to the various discounts that they were getting through whatever means, came out to $700. So just the next day, it was like, thank you for the $700 I'm receiving. Bam, I had $700 overnight. But I believe it. I believe it. I have faith. I have a very simple faith. And when I catch myself saying wanting, needing, hoping, and trying, I laugh at myself. Well, that's silly. I don't beat myself up anymore. I used to. I used to smack the hair off the top of my head. That's why I'm bald, right? Because of the fact that I was thinking of it as I'm dumb. I should beat myself up. Why would I do that? I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. I am not those things. I think I'm a fairly intelligent person. I think I'm a fairly kind person, and I think that I'm an expression of God, as are you. And I think that all knowledge is available to all of us. And it's a matter of us saying, I am receiving my visit from my friend, my childhood friend, who no one else saw. I am joyfully receiving $700 to cover the cost of this water heater. I am. And the more you can get into the simple belief, that's why I don't believe in affirmations, because affirmations almost imply asking how. Because the word affirmation means I'm shoring something up I have no confidence in. I have to affirm it, right? I just believe it. And then I act past it. I just declare. And then when something comes up in the subconscious that says that's not true, I laugh because no, it is happening. It just is, right? God is abundant and infinite and always with you and showing you your belief. And if you can get your belief straight with what you're desiring, then your desires will be experienced in your present moment. Yeah. All right. I'm off that soapbox. What's the next question or topic you guys would like to talk about tonight? I'm still pondering this question by Brittany here too. One of the things, Brittany, about your question is perhaps about the true nature and how we transcend the body and are all one. It can be difficult to experience unity when we are all individual bodies. I find it interesting because everything I talk about is our true nature, and everything I've been talking about on this exact live stream has been about our true nature, our oneness with God, and that ability of being creator of our experience. Transcending the body. I've talked about that in the video of Kundalini Rising, and how I actually have one video called, how do I do OBEs, which is out of body experiences. And the oneness is interesting because I've explained in others how everything you experience in this world, including the person across from you, is pure atomic energy in motion. That's scientifically proven, right? So when you realize that you're looking at everything, that wall and the air between you and that wall and your eyes are all made of atomic energy. So everything is one within this energy, and it comes back to the space of, I am joyfully living in this, or I am living a terrible life. And then your eyes see that experience of your belief. And so I'm not sure what would come through if I did that, but I'm not sure it would. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't say much different from things I've already said. So anyway, that's what I said. I feel rested today, Chitra. I slept about 9 hours last night. I have been working very hard, and not really that hard. I've been working on getting all of my house functional needs back to working, and my ice machine has been out for a long time, and I hadn't been able to afford to fix it. And just recently, I just bought the parts, and I found a friend who knew how to do it. So earlier today, I heard ice falling into my ice tray, which was a beautiful sound, and my water filter was working again. Hello there, Maureen from Scotland. I think that the rest that I had last night was literally because all the things are lining up in my life right now. All the things are joyfully filling in, and all the things I've been manifesting lately have just been flowing in so simply and easy, like the $700 thing. It's been one of those situations where during COVID, when I first started this channel, it was a very interesting experience because I had lost all my income from corporate speaking, and then I was trying to build this channel, and this channel was, it still is, growing very slowly, but it'll pick up, I'm sure. But it was for a while there. It was I went into some serious debt to my sister to help keep me afloat, and she's like, "You don't worry about that. We'll when you have it, you'll get it." And my sister's just a lovely, lovely person. But I think about it quite a lot about paying her down. But now it's like I can see the motion of the manifestations coming in. I can see. I have bookings out into the third week of March right now. Some of them are already filling in. So things are really, really starting to take off. And I'm loving doing live streams again. I'm loving being back in front of you guys again. I just think the reason I'm here, the reason I feel I'm here, the reason I feel like my purpose is to come here and talk to you guys and show you how beautiful and how empowered you really are, and help you find that power. And so I feel like I'm doing what I should be doing. I feel like I'm expressing what a buddy of mine taught me a while ago. And I feel that is my greatest responsibility, is to share that divinity, that awakening of you. To use the word I used earlier, you find your Christed self, right? Your Christ consciousness. Though I don't buy into the word Christ because of the association with messiahs and saviors, but There was a guy in the early 1900s, I believe, it was Krishnamurti, and Krishnamurti was really promoted by the Theosophy Society, and the Theosophy Society created a big event, and the big event they had really built it up that Krishnamurti was going to declare himself the Christ or the Messiah. And Krishnamurti refused to do it. And the night came and he didn't do it. And it kind of destroyed the Theosophy Society. But it reminds me a lot of, the Essenes trying to make Jeshua step into that role. And when I think of those past memories, all he cared about was you and you seeing what he was seeing, because he understood that he was no different from you. That's why he called himself the Son of Man, not the Son of God. He was showing you, I'm a man. I'm just like you. And then he also said, ye are gods. Thank you, Starlight. Thank you. This is so beautiful. That very helpful. Helps keep the roof over the head, as I like to say. I look forward to this Friday nights too, Becky. I'm really kind of enjoying it. Let's see. Teresa. Hello, Teresa. Messenger. Is Messenger your real last name, or is that a chosen profession? Because people often have called me a messenger. I've done one OB on purpose. I'm pleasantly surprised I didn't experience anything profound, but held it together while I floated through the walls. Yes, the first time you do it, it's like, what? And then the second time you do it, you're okay, I'm here, and you stay a little longer. And then you just continually practice and just letting go. It literally is just, you could get out of body just by laying down and saying, I am leaving my body. That doesn't even have to be a process to do it. You can literally believe your way out of your body. And when you believe your way out of your body, you suddenly, you begin to trust it more, especially when you believe, because here's what most people believe when they get out of body, is they're afraid they're going to get stuck out of body. You're not going to get stuck out of body. It's not going to happen. You can't get stuck. And that's just your fear of the unknown, of the uncertainty. But you get out of body, and the more you do it, the longer you can stay out. And then you get this experience where you're like, okay, I'm out of body. So if I'm out of body, and that wasn't possible, right, is distance anything? And then you find that you can astral travel, and you can project your thoughts and your consciousness. And people talk about remote viewing and all that. It's all the same stuff. They're going somewhere, and they're getting pictures that are showing them what is there, right? I went to my friend's house and came back with a message from, gave him a message to give to me in the waking hours, and he did. So I validated that it was happening. But once you have the out-of-body experience, just remember, you're never going to get stuck out of your body. And the less you think about the how to do it, right, Corey? The less you think about the how to do it, and just say, I am doing it. When I had my Kundalini rising, I was warming my feet up, and I brought the warmth up my legs, and it came to my chest, and then I heard the thought say, relax into it. When I relaxed into it, when I let go of all the things I was thinking and saying and doing, I popped out of body. And the thing is, it was to relax into it. It was this, okay, this is happening. Just let go. It's the letting go that gets you where you want to go. It's the letting go of all the modalities and methods and techniques and processes and prayer formulas and levels of consciousness. And it's the letting go that gets you to where you want to be. As I've often said, this is one trip you have to unpack for. You have to unpack for this trip. And you get there and you're in paradise because you've unpacked. And there's no need to have fears or anxieties or doubt yourself in the process. It literally is a matter of saying, I am doing this. And you do. And it takes we've been given beliefs. And we've searched and we've searched and we've searched for ways and methods and techniques. And Jeshua said, when you seek a path will be laid before you. But until you turn that path back to yourself, you'll never find the doorway. You have to come back to you. And you just letting yourself do it and believing you are doing it. Because it doesn't say, ask and you shall receive sometime in the future. Ask and you shall receive. Believe. Yeah. Then it says, of course, if you have faith. If you have faith. And Shakespeare said, words without thoughts never to heaven go. Yeah. I love this line, Teresa. Ooh, I will try to make it less hard to astral. Well, as my good friend Yoda said, do or do not, there is no try. Let go of try, because try is a present moment inactive word. It's one of those words that I don't even use. Wanting, needing, hoping, trying, wishing, and can't, and also how. Those are words that are non-present moment active. They don't believe that it's happening. So when I catch that word, I go, no, I don't try. I am. I don't try. I am. And the second part of your statement says, I will try to make it less hard. Well, the trying part of that statement is what makes it hard. So let go of the try, and it'll be less hard. So there's that. What else do you guys want to talk about tonight? I am wide open and ready to dive in with some of your other topics and questions. See, Kathy, I have dreamt of Jesus twice. He came to me the first time and gave me a message. Can you share the message, or is it too personal? Because I would love to hear a message from Jeshua, right? I had someone tell me the other day that they had a message from Jeshua, seek me in your heart. And I was like, what a perfect message. Because the oneness of God is within you. Importance of serving others. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. Serving others is serving yourself. And people say, well, you're not supposed to serve yourself. Yes, you are. There's no part of God that is less important than any other part of God, and you are part of God. I love you. I love loving you. Oh, thank you, Teresa. Thank you. I love loving you. I love loving you, because to me, that's the mission. The mission is to express and share love and experience love. And it is so joyful. Makes me want to well up with tears how beautiful it is just to love you and just to be loved in return. And I feel the love. But it's a matter of, I choose to live loving. And when you live loving, loving surrounds you. Loving surrounds you. I had a guy come to put in that water heater. I found him on one of those online services, like Angie's List or Thumbtack or something like that. And I've had bad experiences with some of the people on there, and good experiences with some of the people on there. And I have often found that when I've had the bad experiences, it's because I was expecting a bad experience. And and with this guy, I looked at him and I said, you know what? He looks like a nice guy, and and he got to my house, and I told him, I found out about his life. I talked to him about the things that were important to him and his family, and I gave him some advice about his business, and I just loved him, right? And he's telling me about whatever service it was. They charged him $40 to talk to me. So at the end of the whole thing, he gave me a very reasonable bill for the installation. And I said, add $40 to that because I'm not going to let you pay for just talking to me. He said, really? I said, absolutely. There's no reason for you to pay that. And I'm the one who got the service. He said, yeah, but I made the money. I said, that's right. And you're making $40 more. So, because I'm not a rich man, but there's no reason for me not to share what's here if I have it to help someone else out. Absolutely, because that we're all in this life thing together. Oh, thank you, Claire. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. We're all in this life thing together, and some people struggle. Some people struggle, and the people who struggle, when I look at them, I see that struggle, and I just want to talk them out of struggling, because I know that they can talk themselves out of struggling. I know they can do greater things. I know that they can achieve anything they want in their life, because all of this is illusion. Every moment of your life is infinite possibility, and the possibilities are chosen by you. You get to choose whether you're healthy. You get to choose whether you're wealthy. You get to choose whether you're wise. You get to choose whether you're homeless. You get to choose at any given moment. And the people who fall into those places lose because they fall into the belief of something different. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Persons? They fall into the belief of that lack, and that lack of love. And that lack of love is so, it's kind of sad to see. You see that person and you want to just love them. I remember walking out of Aladdin's restaurant. I love Arabic food. I'm walking out of Aladdin's restaurant, and there was a very large man, very large elderly man. I mean, he was easily 400 pounds. And he was lying on the sidewalk next to his Corvette convertible. And these two waiters were trying to lift him up off the ground using his arms. And these waiters were young guys, and I knew full well you cannot lift him by his arms. You have to get to his core and come straight up with that weight. So I walked over to him and I said, I'm going to help you up. Is that okay if I grab your torso? And I reached down and grabbed his torso. He said, what are you doing? He got really mad at me for touching him. And I was like, I'm going to help you up. And his wife was saying, over my shoulder, she's saying, please don't listen to him. Please don't listen to him. And I grabbed him around the torso where I could, and I got him up to the seat in his car. And as I walked away, his wife says, thank you so much. She whispers it, thank you so much, because she couldn't say it in front of him. And as I walked away, I said to her, I said, we're all in this life thing together. Let's make it a good one. And that's really kind of, do what you can in life. You do what you can in life. And you see a situation that you have the ability, use your ability. Use your love. It was a short message going through a hard time, and he came to me and stood in front of me and told me I will be okay. So in other words, you are loved, you've always been loved, and you always will be loved. And he's with you, and he's always been with you, and he always will be with you. Just like he told me all those years ago. Jeshua's part of the oneness with God, and yet Jeshua shows up. People tell me all the time they see him. People tell me all the time they feel his presence. I feel his presence frequently, and I even took a picture of him in Norway. So check that out on that video. I took a picture of Jesus video. Well, I like the fact that you like that, but Chitra, if I look away from the camera, watch what his eyes do. They come in focus because the camera picks up the eyes, and I love the fact that the camera picks up the eyes as if they were real eyes. I just love that. I think it's beautiful. It makes me excited just to have that look back there, him pop up like that. Let me jump back over and read what I'm missing over here. Da-da-da. Starlight, I love that. I love that quote. I love that. We become generous out of our self-interest. That's right. Because there's only one of us here. When we serve one another, we serve ourselves. When we give, we are giving to ourselves. It's what I said earlier. I love you, and because of that, I feel loved. And I feel that expression of love, and I feel that openness to love. And I go through, like I say, I go grocery shopping, and I walk into the store just loving everyone around me, and they just smile at me, and they talk to me, and they love me in return. And it really comes down to love them first. Love them first. And when you love them first, you'll have this amazing experience of just feeling that love in return. I told the story of several weeks ago. I told the story about the entertainer coming up to me and says, "John," he says, "I watch entertainers all the time, and they go on stage and they try to warm their audience up for 10 or 15 minutes before they start the show, but you just walk on the stage and they love you. Why is that?" It's because I love them first. I walk on the stage believing we're about to have a great time and they're going to have so much fun with me, and I'm just going to love them first. And I walk on stage and we just love each other. That's what life is about. It's just loving one another. I leave you this one commandment: love one another. And it's funny about that painting behind me. My buddy back here. I have had many people tell me that the eyes look sad, and I had one specific person say, and she didn't even know my whole story, but she saw the picture, and she says, "Whoa, whoever painted that must have seen him on the cross. Those eyes are sad." And I was like, that's really interesting. That's why I'm working on the new painting, which I haven't had a lot of time to work on it, so I'm going to have to really carve out some time to work on it. But it's a painting of Jeshua and his wife, Mariam, Ishti Mariam, smiling and enjoying each other. And I'm really excited about that painting because I think it's going to be something new and that you don't see in the world. Him and his wife smiling, So I think it's pretty beautiful. So what other questions do we have, guys? We have 10 or 15 minutes left here before we start to wind this thing down. I want to make sure that I'm giving you all your answers that you're looking for. I'm going to jump over and see if I missed anything. I was visiting with you. Yeah, the Krishnamurti thing. Yeah, I think it's kind of a. I thought it was beautiful that he wouldn't take the title. The body speaks to us when it desires change, but listening to it is where I feel overwhelmed. How do you listen to yours or advise regarding it? Okay. The body speaks to us when it desires change. Does your body have a separate consciousness that it desires? That has the ability to desire? Or is the product of your body the product of your desires? Because that statement is absolutely speaking of your body as if it's separate from you. And everything in your experience is you and God is one. So I would say the body is a product of your belief and your. For instance, I tell the story all the time about the woman who said her heart was broken, so she started having heart problems. Right? I've met people whose back gives them problems, and they take on too much work and they overburden themselves, and they start having back problems because they feel burdened, and they have these beliefs that create the physicality of the body. I know people, and I'm not gonna. I know people who have had traumatic sexual assaults in their life, who have kept themselves overweight so they wouldn't be attractive. And you work with them, and you bring them love, and you show them that it's safe, and you bring them to a space where they can be themselves again, and they change their body if they so choose. Some people never change their body because they're not willing to step into that, even the responsibility of belief, because they think I've got to do this. Now, for me personally, I'm very aware of when I am taking on too much time in the studio. And so, like Corey, if my voice is bothering me, it's been a long week, I take the Sunday membership time off, because it's like I'm hearing and feeling what my body feels like, and I just need more rest. So I just take it, and I announce it on the membership page. By the way, any of you guys interested, just to tell you just a little bit about the membership page, the memberships go from $10 a month up to $50 a month, and they're also another way to just help keep this thing going. But anybody who gets a membership, it gets 50% off of the private readings. So that's one way to do it. And you get to come on Zoom calls with me twice a week, Thursdays and Sundays, Thursday nights and Sunday at noon. And we get face to face, and we just openly talk to each other in the membership group. And that's for all levels. I don't try to limit anybody. And you get special perks. You get coffee cups, and you get shirts, and you get after several months of being on, you start getting perks in the mail. And I hope you, if you're interested in that, and you want to, get more John time, you really just hop into the membership group, and then let me get to talk face to face. I get to see what you look like. Let's see what else got over here. I'm looking forward to seeing that painting too, Marcy. Yeah. The body is a reflection of your consciousness. Teacher. Is that Grizzly TV? Is that it's Chrissy TV. Huh. Is that Chrissy? I don't know. Is that a last name? No Wednesday? Oh, were you not there on Wednesday? Yeah, you were there Wednesday, weren't you, Corey? I thought so. Well, we're here on. Yeah. It's Wednesday. Did I say Thursday? Whatever. If I messed up, it's Wednesdays. Wednesdays at 7:30 Eastern time, and Sundays at noon Eastern time for the membership group. Hello there. Is it so? Yeah, I did say Thursday. Okay, there you go. Well, that's called senility. I was doing a lot of stuff last night. So anyway, well, we're coming down towards the end of this thing. I want to make sure if we have another topic we want to get into, and the concept of doing that channeling, Brittany, I haven't forgotten you. It is on my list, but yeah, I've done a live channeling before. I'll have to think about that. But I will not forget it because it's on my list. So, wow. Okay. Any more questions, folks? Or topics? I'm going to drink some water to cool my throat down. Brittany, what I love about what you just said, that is directly from my regression. Said, oh yeah, and you retracted it. Sorry. Well, I'm gonna talk about it anyway. You said it's all so simple. Ha ha ha. My regression, it says it's so simple. Yeah, and they don't say my regression says it's so simple that we can't comprehend it. It's so simple we can't comprehend it, and that's it. We don't, and I think the reason we don't comprehend it is because we don't believe we're divine, because of our separation, because of our feeling, because of our feeling of that separation. We don't feel worthy. We don't feel we're divine. And if you come from a religious background, especially a Christian religious background, you definitely don't feel worthy, because you've been told since you were born you're not. You were born in original sin. You were born a sinner, right? And so you've been told from early ages that you do bad things. You have to go confess. You know, you're going to go to hell if you do these things. And all of those things, all of those beliefs that are thrust upon us are definitely affecting your belief in self, your divinity, your self-doubt. And that is the thing that makes your belief in your own divinity is what makes it so simple. Chitra, that's a great question. The past is like the Akashic records and all that. It's like present moments that have been lived out. And so tapping into that is actually much easier than tapping into the future. And the reason is because the future itself is not set. It's your free will changes the future as it gets closer to you. And so what psychics read is the potential of the moment. And so if you keep going down this track right here and now, this is where you're headed right now, is what they're seeing. And some of them are very good and some of them are very much not. And it really comes down to you finding someone who is truly loving and caring and not trying to be the end-all be-all. I have run into some people who are very, very good, and I've run into people who really wanted me to follow them. And it's not about following. It's about they just are a little bit more aware, right? And you start putting the people on a pedestal. They can, not all of them, but they can become less and less clear. And there's I won't say who, but there was a woman who was one of the early ones who read for me, and I was the first biblical character that had ever shown up in one of her things. And then she got known because I was speaking all over the country, and people started going to her, and suddenly everybody who went to her, they went to her because they all wanted to be part of that story. And then suddenly all of her readings, everyone was there. And it was like her fame was that she found this guy who had this memory, and then she started basically believing her press that she could find people of the past. And many of the people that she told were of that past life. I never got that feeling for. And eventually, she actually had a memory of her own past life back then. It was a very different, wasn't anybody in the surrounding group. It was somebody who was removed from the group, and it all felt very real. The name came to her, and then she had to go do research to find out who it was, and then years later, she started saying she was Mary Magdalene, and I like I said, I've met over 30 Mary Magdalenes, and so I don't ever validate past lives because of the fact that I've met more Peters, Pauls, and Georges and Ringos than you'll ever meet, so I don't validate just because of that. But the gifted person can lose their abilities just by not having their ego get knocked out of balance. I hope that answers your question. I know it was off to. I actually went off topic, but I often will get, when I'm doing private sessions, I'll get messages from people who've crossed over for people. Sometimes I'll get. I had a woman yesterday who the automatic writing I did for her. As when I started writing, the first thing I saw was a long blonde-haired woman, and I had no idea what she looked like, riding bareback on a horse with her hands out to the side in a field with trees behind her. And she was just riding bareback, arms out, not even holding any reins or anything. And it was just this immense feeling of freedom. And the writing started out with the word galloping. And then it said galloping feels like flying. And your freedom is felt on the back of a horse, something like that. Well, she had written a song that had those exact lyrics in it, and the song was a Swedish word, but it was gallopia or something like that. It was like it was like galloping, but in Swedish. And so everything I said was part of her song. And she used to do bareback circus riding where she would ride with no hands. And she said they used to practice in a field, just like I said. The field was a sloping hill, just like I said. So it's, and that sounds like me bragging. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to show you that when you open up and you just, you start to get things coming through, and then you can't get into the ego about it. You have to stay in the, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Because I'm getting images, and it's not really my images, it's theirs. I called one woman truly scrumptious and choochie face, and then recited a line from her husband's book, and had no idea what I was doing. But if I had gotten into my head about it and started getting into, what does this mean and all this stuff, then what happens is you get lost and you become much less clear. And so find ones who are humble. Right now, one of the most humble that I've seen, and I would like to see her do less political stuff and more, spirituality stuff, and that's Kim Carey. I think she's amazingly, when you're just talking to her, she's just a beautiful soul. And I think that she's very humble. And I remember watching her earliest videos where she's like, I'm new at this, and said it was very, very beautiful. So I would really like to stay on that space of when you go to a psychic, make sure there's someone who's very humble and treats you as an equal, because that's where you're going to get your clearest information. I love Kim too. She's a lovely, lovely person. As is Marcy from Spirit Made Me Do It. Yeah. And hey, by the way, if you guys haven't, go over and subscribe to Marcy's channel. She's got some good stuff. She's a new channel, but she's gonna be a bigwig on YouTube. So make sure you get in there early so you can be one of the cool people, be one of the cool kids in the pool. Okay, so first of all, there's two Marys. Mary, his mother, and Mary, his wife. Mariam, Ishti Mariam, he called her Ishti, and I still call her Ishti, but Ishti is an Aramaic word for wife. And his mother was also named Mariam, and she was married to a carpenter, and she gave birth from a carpenter. All the virgin stories. I did a video on my channel. You should go look it up. Just go to the search function on the top of the page and type in the word virgins, and you'll find the whole video I did on the origin of the virgin story and how it's not even a Christian story. It's a pagan story that they've married into Catholicism or married into Christianity. Excuse me. Awesome. I'm glad. I'm sure Kim is phenomenal. And you guys can blame Kim on this channel for this channel and for me really coming back out, because I started doing a podcast called Spirit Cafe Podcast with Tamara Zoner, and we brought Kim on our channel as a guest. And in our interview, I kind of blurted out just like, yeah, I have a little reincarnation story, and I never said another word about it. It's all I really said. You go to Spirit Cafe on YouTube, Spirit Cafe Podcast on YouTube, and you can find the interview with Kim, and you'll see what actually happened. And after we got off the recording of that, Kim says, tell me more about this reincarnation thing. And I was not out. I was not sharing my story at that time. And I literally just started talking and all my entire story blurted out. And then Kim says, about a week later, I get a phone call or an email. Says, I want you to come on my channel and talk about reincarnation. You don't have to share anything you don't want to share. Just come in and talk about reincarnation. And I was like, oh. So I wasn't sure I wanted to be back out doing that work. And so I did what I do. I opened up and asked for myself. And I was told it was time. And I opened up my YouTube channel the day before her interview went live with me. And had 4 subscribers, and the next day I had 300. And I think, Marcy, you were one of the first. And it has been just a lovely, lovely friendship. We don't talk very often, but when we do, it's just like an easy connection when I talk with her. And we're supposed to do a live stream coming up soon about the dichotomy of love and fear. So I think that's going to be really fun. For those of you, Marcy's channel name is The Spirit Made Me Do It. And if you click on her name, you'll go to her channel. Heidi, right above you in the chat board is Spirit Made Me Do It. That's Marcy. You just click on that, and you'll go find her. Go subscribe. You were Marcy. You were one of the first 100. Wow. That's a amazing feat. So that must have been. I'll bet you I can tell you the date. That was September 11th, 21, September 11th, 21. Because that was the day after that, and we had 300 subscribers that next day. Yeah, I am no doubt that Marcy did an amazing card reading for you, Corey, because Marcy's pretty awesome. Right after Kim's video. Yep. It's very interesting. And by the way, guys, I did the interview with Next Level Soul, and he told me it would be 3 to 5 weeks before it comes out, because he's chunking out videos like crazy right now. And he and I are doing a kind of a little swap next week, actually. I'm going to do a private session for him, and he's going to tell me everything he knows about YouTube. And so he and I had a great time. He said at the end of our meeting, he says, we have to end this, because if we don't stop, we're going to talk for hours. I said, yeah, you'll just have to bring me back on. Right? It was very, very fun. Anywho. Well, guys, I think I'm going to wind this thing down. I hope it's been a good evening for you guys. It's been a great one for me. I feel energized. I can see the goosebumps rising. Very excited to be doing these live streams with you. And thank you guys for showing up. And I will be speaking to you real soon. Love you all, and love yourself. And remember that you are loved. You've always been loved, and you always will be loved. I'm with you. I've always been with you, and I always will be with you. So you guys have a great night, and I will talk to you very soon. Thank you for joining us at the Live Loving live stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and visit us at johnofnew.com.